Welcome back, everybody. We start this episode off with the beginning of the last part with Juggernaut of the Black Tower, UMA of the White, and Shadow showing up at the gates of the Scarlet Tower to start their invasion. Now, these three, they have a somewhat okay interaction. Juggernaut doesn't really care for Shadow. UMA has somewhat of a friendly grounds with Shadow because he helps some of her prostitutes back at the Pleasure District, so she's wanting to stay on friendly terms with him, but for the most part, the big player is just going to the tower for the separate ways. Now, as they're entering in, the white devil up the top, who's supposed to be guarding the whole place, sees him coming like, "Whoa, this is above my pay grade. I ain't touching Juggernaut or UMA." But when he sees Shadow, he's like, that guy's not got no power. He looks like a weakling. It's definitely someone I can kill and take out." Well, the moment he jumps down to try to do that, he gets sliced into pieces. So you should have chose a better target than Shadow, my dude. Now, I should also mention that Shadow's not the only one from Shadowguard that's been infiltrating the Red Tower. We also find out that Beta and a small squad of Shadow Garden are down in the basement gathering intel upon the possessed and the vampires. Because apparently there's a connection between the two of them leading all the way back to the Witch of Calamity. So she's digging into the history between the possessed and the vampire's progenitor, which would be the Blood Queen. Now, as they're doing this research, all of a sudden a compartment door opens up and out comes tumbling Claire and Mary. Apparently, Claire was being a little bit careless in the room that they were in, and it accidentally opened up a compartment that caused them to slide down to the basement of the Red Tower. Although it got them in now, so no real issues there. Now, unfortunately, they are being spotted by Shadow Guard members at this moment, and Beta, she has orders to eliminate anybody who finds them out, but you can't really do that when your boss's sister shows up. Kind of would be a bad thing to mention, like, hey, yeah, by the way, so we were doing the secret mission, and you no longer have an older sister. Surprise! Yeah, that probably would not be a good idea. So they put a kibosh on that idea at least. Now, when the two sides meet up, they agree that, we're not going to fight you, you're not going to fight us, we're going to go our separate ways, and everything's going to be fine. Now, Claire is a little bit curious. What the heck are the members of Shadow Garden doing in the basement of the Red Tower? And, well, Beta goes ahead and explains to her that there's a connection between the possessed and vampires going all the way through the progenitors up until eventually they reach back to, well, the Witch of Calamity is where this all stems from. And she's hoping to find some connections here and maybe get a blood sample of the progenitor vampire. Now, upon this, Mary, for some reason, gets quite defensive. She's like, wait, what do the progenitor vampires have anything to do with this? This is quite blasphemous. And Beta points out, rightfully so, like, why would you care about this, our 1,000-year-old rumor, our great vampire slayer? Well, why would this matter to you? And at this, Mary immediately quiets up and doesn't say anything else about the matter, but Claire then has to ask, like, hey, since you're researching the possessed thing, is there a cure for this? And Bea just simply smirks at her because she knows a thing or two about Claire that she doesn't know about herself, and just simply says, like, you're fine, don't worry about it. And Claire's like, what the heck do you mean by that? And she's like, what? It's what I mean. And doesn't really get any more information out of her from that point on. Infuriated that they're not getting that much of answers from Beta, Claire just says, like, okay, fine, let's get out of here. We gotta go save my brother. And at this point, the members of Shao Garn become very interested because, well, Beta knows that her brother Sid is actual Shadow, so she's somewhat concerned. But the one who's really actually concerned is member 666, who is the newest member of Shadow Garden, who was Princess Olivia, who just joined up and had a bit of a crush on Sid. Now, when she finds out that Sid's in trouble, she immediately wants to jump in and help and save him, but Beta pulls her back because she knows the truth about Sid, that he's perfectly fine, not in danger anyway. But the overeager member of Shadow Garden, well, she wants to get involved. Now, shutting her down real quickly, Claire and Mary just kind of shrug it off like, okay, well, that's weird, but we're going to keep on going. And they're starting to make their way through the tower. Now, as they're progressing through the tower, Claire does ask, like, hey, so why are you so interested in the Blood Queen? Why were you trying to defend the vampires back there? Like, that's kind of interesting. What's going on there? And Mary just full on stops, like, hey, leave my business alone. Why do you want to know on a way to cure the possessed, okay? Like, that's your secret. Leave my secrets alone. We're just currently working together to get to a common interest. So, Just keep our secrets hidden, okay? And they agree to that, but before they get too much further, they come to a floor where Juggernaut of the Black Tower is just completely wiping the floor with the upper brass of the vampires. Like, he's just stomping the poor sons of guns into the ground. Like, he's not even raising his blade against them. Like, it's just not good, man. He's just a monster. Now, seeing what's going on, Mary and Claire are like, yeah, let's back away from this. Let's not engage with him. But unfortunately, they weren't fast enough because Juggernaut was able to sense them and he immediately goes in for an attack on the two of them and pretty much demolishes them. He punches Claire right through the floor. He guts Mary into the column, and pretty much that's the end of it. Like, Claire does come back up and she's able to stab him in his foot, keep him pinned down for a little bit as she tries to go help Mary, who then goes forward for a kiss and sucks out some of Claire's blood. Interesting. And tries to shoot some like blood magic at Juggernaut, who just shrugs it off and laughs at it, and goes in for another kill, aiming right for Claire, pretty much in a blink of an eye. Like, there's no time to react. But just as you think that this is going to be the end of our Vampire Slayer and Claire, well, the Deus Maxica shows up and Shadow kicks him off the edge of the railing down to the bottom floor of the tower again. And he's just like, he's not even pissed that he got kicked off. He's just mad, like, what the heck, Shadow? What are you doing here? Like, he's not scared. He's not concerned. Like, you're like 200 feet up in the air, man. You should be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. No, he's just like, come on, bro. What the heck are you doing? I love that personally. And Shadow's just like, yeah, okay, it's what it is. Hey, by the way, guys, the frenzy's going on. We're running out of time. The hour of awakening is near. We gotta hurry. And pretty much he just drifts away, leaving the two kind of stunned, like, oh, what happened? Like, we're dead one moment, then we got saved by a dude who just completely destroyed the Capitol, and now he just faded away to go face the Blood Queen. Great? Like, what the heck is going on here? I kind of love that confusion it just left the two of them in. But by leaving the two of them there alone, he allows Claire and Mary to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart and discussion of what's going on. And Mary reveals that the vampires, well, there's an interesting history that goes on there. You see, the vampires rose to prominence over 1,000 years ago. They pretty much had enslaved non-vampires and were at the top of the food chain and were opulent and things were going really well for them until normal people rose up against them and started butchering them, and the time of the vampires was destroyed. Now, at the same time this was all going on, there was another vampire known as Mary, the Blood Queen, who wanted to create a society where humans and vampires could live together. You know, the utopian idea. Well, in order to do this, they gave up blood, and by doing so, they did lose their powers, but they were able to live in the sunlight and were able to interact with humans perfectly well. Yes, it was a bit of a hunger for blood, but they were able to control it and lessen it as time went on. Now, unfortunately for the Blood Queen herself, she was never able to actually enjoy this time, because whenever she would go into the sun, she'd still get burned. So, unfortunately, no matter how long she herself rejected blood, it didn't really matter. She was still a full-on vampire, and she still suffered the negative consequences of that form. Now, things were going quite good in this kingdom of hers that she had created until one night where the moon was super red. Red energy was radiating down from it and empowering all the vampires. And for her specifically, this was just a frenzy for her. Like, she was going nuts, but she was still able to control herself. Until one of her aides, by the name of Crimson, gave her a single drop of blood. And that single drop of blood sent her on a wild rampage, just going through the three kingdoms close by, slaughtering and murdering, and just causing the catastrophe of the Blood Moon. It took 3 days before the frenzy stopped and her maid eventually caught back up with her queen. And at that point, the damage had already been done. Their paradise was lost, destroyed by her queen's own hands, and all that was left was just the queen. Now at this point, she's very heartbroken at all the destruction and mayhem she caused. And she pretty much instructs her maid, like, hey, I'm going to kill myself. I want you to scatter my ashes around the world so I can never come back, and I just want to die. So she stakes herself and then dies into a coffin. The maid, unfortunately, loves her queen too much and is unable to either fulfill her requests or deny her requests. So she's just stuck in limbo, which unfortunately is the wrong decision to make, because as she's standing guard over her lady, Crimson attacks, beheads her. I mean, she's still alive, she's a vampire. But he now takes control of the body of the Blood Queen and tells Mary that hopefully in 1,000 years you're going to join our side, understand where we're coming from, that, yeah, we got to go back to the old ways of being the top food chain around. So hopefully you see our side by the time the Blood Queen comes back. And with that, he whisks the body away, and now it's time for the resurrection. With that secret revealed to Claire, Claire then goes ahead and reveals her own personal secret to Mary, that she is actually one of the possessed, that she's shown signs of it since she was a kid, and eventually she will turn into a monstrous form. Actually, the whole reason why she's there at the city is actually to help her younger brother Sid to become a member of a Knight's Order, so he has at least some path in life. So you gotta love the sister's care for her younger brother, her concern, seeing that he's not the most well planned individual, and that causes her some great concern. Little does she know he's probably the most powerful person in existence, but details that she does not know. Now at this point, Mary reaches out her hand, like, hey, don't worry about your brother. You and me together, we're gonna go save him. Everything's gonna be great. And there's nothing to be worried about. And Mary takes her hand, but says like, hey, don't worry about it. I can handle this. It's my own damn business, so stay out of it. Like, there was a moment there. It was a great moment, but she just kills the mood. It was pretty well put. I liked it personally. Now from here we go back over to Shadow. He's now pilfering the Red Tower's treasure. There's paintings he could get, some jewelry he could get, but the man goes right for the smart move, the coins. Padding his whole robe and slime with gold coins, as I believe that was one of the other Shadow Guardian that padded her chest with slime to make her look more attractive to Shadow. Now, with his treasure in tow, he contemplates on how he's going to finish things up this evening. Is he going to wait for the heroes to show up like he has done in the previous season, or is he going to take more of an active role? He's going to side on the more of an active role, showing up before the main heroes show up, surprising them, wowing them with his abilities, and then the party's on. Still demonstrating that Sid still doesn't necessarily take this whole world all that seriously. Like, he takes it seriously, but then he doesn't. Like, it's fun to watch how, like, serious he is. At the same time, he's just like, do you even really care about this world? Like, it's a nice mix in between. I personally am here for it all the way. Now, Sid is able to make his way up to the top of the tower, where Crimson is currently resurrecting his dead queen by placing her into the young boy that looked like Sid. The boy, unfortunately, is long since dead, staked up, just a complete bloody mess. So I really hope they killed him before they did all this, but I have a feeling Crimson is the kind of guy that would do a whole lot of torture before he finished the kid. So thankfully, though, at this point he's already dead, but still, that looks pretty brutal, what was going on up there. But with the queen inserted, Crimson's going on this dialogue on how we're going to be together, and finally you're going to be a piece on my chessboard again, and we can really start getting things moving. And Shadow unleashes his magic, slicing Crimson in two, completely decimating the top of the tower. Ending the episode there. Now, I personally love this episode. There was a ton of world building. The lore was glorious. Oh man, I love lore. Lore is probably something that I absolutely love in fantasy, man. I literally went and binged Warhammer Fantasy just so I could get some more lore, and same with 40k, man. Oh, give me some lore, man. I love it. So I was really happy with this episode personally. I loved how we got some more of the backstory between the possessed and vampires, how they're part of the same genome, that they all go back to the Witch of the Calamity. I loved how there's this history with the vampires, that they were trying to create this utopian society, but like all utopian societies, they eventually crumble to dust because it's a fantasy. It can never really exist, but it was great seeing that. I loved to watch that. I like to see the intrigue within Claire, how she's trying to help her younger brother, that she's concerned for his future, and that's the whole reason why they're here. I absolutely love that dynamic that's going on there. So, I absolutely loved it. Everything on this episode, 10 out of 10. I'm probably going to rank it a 9.3. 9.3, I'd probably want to say. I will definitely come back to this episode again. I definitely want to watch it again. It was a good time. Why am I giving it a 0.3 and not a solid 7? Why am I giving it a 9.3 and not a solid 10 out of 10? That's kind of to have to do with the white fox. Now, why do I bring her in? Because she doesn't really have anything to do in this episode. Juggernaut, we got him being a badass, murdering a bunch of vampires, and being a threat to some of our heroines. But what happened to the White Fox? Like, I know you can't get everybody into the same scene, but you could have at least, showed us a clip of her just making her way up some stairs, slaughtering vampires left and right with ease. I mean, we know she can take out ghouls easily, but still, it would have been nice to see some from her, just personally speaking here. Um, but yeah, that's where my thoughts are on. Great episode, great time. I highly recommend you guys watch it if you haven't yet. But with that said, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Y'all take care now. Bye.